Well, hello everyone, I'm Thomas Smith. I'm part of the teaching team here at Ascension Press and the Great Adventure Bible Timeline. And I'm very excited to welcome you back again as we continue this series, Living the Beatitudes as Pathways to the Kingdom. So thank you for joining us again. This session we're looking at blessed are those who hunger and thirst after righteousness, for they shall be filled. This isn't just liking righteousness. This isn't just being content with righteousness. This is hungering after righteousness. This is thirsting after righteousness. Friends, this beatitude reveals that Jesus Christ alone is the one who can meet our deepest hunger, our deepest thirsting. That when we live this beatitude, this blessed life, we are led deeper and deeper to the person of Jesus, who alone can satisfy. Now, what is the righteousness that we're speaking of here? Maybe more properly, who is the righteousness we're speaking of here? Well, it does mean fundamentally that we as followers of Jesus should hunger after what is right, what is good, what is just in the world. That we're really hungering in our hearts for Jesus' kingdom to be manifest in our world, in our relationships, in our marriage, our families, our parishes. And that we're working to make that kingdom come by first and foremost making sure that Christ is sitting firmly on the throne of our heart and that he's reigning there as king, so that our lives will begin to reflect that life-giving reign of Christ in us. Our words, our thoughts, our deeds are flowing from that throne of righteousness that he's established in our hearts. And when that happens, you know that we become champions of righteousness in the world when we defend the unborn, the poor, the widow, the orphan, the stranger, the immigrant, and the elderly. And this idea of righteousness is also wrapped up in a person. 1 Corinthians 1:30 reminds us that Jesus has been made our righteousness. So when we speak about hungering and thirsting after righteousness, we're also speaking about hungering and thirsting after Jesus. That, as I said at the outset, the deepest need of our soul is met when we come into union and communion with him. He is heaven's bread for our deepest hunger. That's why we see Jesus pictured several times as the manna which has come down from heaven. And we experience that, don't we? Every time we attend Mass, He satisfies us, he feeds us, he transforms us. We see that theme of thirst in the Gospels where Jesus meets the woman at the well, that she is thirsting after something much more than just the water she's coming there to draw every day, but something deeper is at work there. I love what the Catechism says about this. It's one of my favorite paragraphs, paragraph 2560, because it says that moment in John's Gospel, like I would argue all of the encounters that Jesus has in John's Gospel, is a universal moment. That is, the conversation that Jesus has with certain individuals in John's Gospel are meant to be universal in their quality. You know, when he entrusts John to his mother and his mother to John at the foot of the cross, that's a universal moment, the church teaches us, where Mary becomes the mother of all the disciples of Jesus, and we are to welcome Mary as our mother. So when Jesus met the woman at the well, in her deepest longing, that's a universal moment. And the church says in paragraph 2560 that in that place, the wonder of prayer is revealed, where we come seeking water. And there the Catechism goes on to say, Christ comes to meet every human being. It is he who first seeks us. It is he who first asks us for a drink. Jesus thirsts, and his asking arises from the depths of God's desire for us. Have you ever thought about that God thirsts for you? That he desires after you? That God in Christ reveals to us the longing that our God has for your soul and intimacy with you? The paragraph goes on to say that whether we realize it or not, prayer is the encounter of God's thirst with ours. God thirsts for us so that we might thirst for him. You know, when you hunger and thirst after something, it's not typically just a luxury. It's a necessity. We hunger and thirst after food and drink and shelter, the basics of life, without which we would die. And that's the same for Jesus. It's when we recognize that our relationship with Jesus isn't some kind of luxury, it's a necessity, that we really enter into the mystery of this beatitude. It is a deliberate, determined, desperate, undeterred, laser-focused longing for Jesus. And if you've ever been truly hungry, or you've ever seen a homeless person truly hungry, you know that they will lose all their pride to have their hunger satisfied. They'll eat out of a garbage can. And something like that is true of the spiritual life. And so I ask you today, do you seek after Jesus as a starving man or woman would seek for food? Do you thirst for him as the only source that can satisfy your parched soul? I can promise you that Jesus is an inexhaustible source of spiritual food and drink for us. And that the more we hunger for him, the more we thirst for him, the more he will satisfy us. The promise is that we will be satisfied. Literally in the Greek, we will be stuffed to overflowing. Think about Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving Day, we eat and eat and eat, and we feel like we can barely walk. Oh, I'm filled, I can't eat another bite. And then what happens about 8 p.m.? We're out looking for leftovers again. The fact that we're hungry at 8 p.m. isn't because the food that we consumed all day long didn't satisfy us. It's because it did. And that's why you want more. And that's true more than ever in the most ultimate sense for Jesus. The Psalms reflect it so beautifully, don't they? Psalm 42, as the deer pants for streams of living water, so my soul pants for you, O God. My soul thirsts for God, for the living God. Where can I go to meet him? Or Psalm 34:8, you know it. Taste and see that the Lord is good. So let's ask this session, for the grace to hunger and thirst after Jesus, so that we might be truly satisfied, that we'll discover that all the things we've been focusing on and trying to fill our lives with will never really satisfy us. And that in our lives we may carry that source of life and nourishment that Jesus gives us out to the world that is looking and longing for Jesus, that is hungry and thirsting for life and love, to fill that Christ-shaped void in their heart. May we carry our nourishment and life to them. Have a blessed rest of your week. Thank you for being with us in this session, and I'll see you next time. God bless.